Hello and welcome. This is the abbreviated West Virginia University football podcast at earsports.com. I am Mike Casazza. This is a Paramount presentation. We are here to talk about Mountaineer football and three topics on the tip of our tongues as the team, as the fans, as the media dives into another game week here in Morgantown. Exciting time, right? I think a lot more people are checked in than were 3 weeks ago. We'll see if that's the case 2 weeks from now. We're going to take them one game at a time, right? Nothing wrong with that. It's what the coaches tell us to do. Why can't we do the same? Not going to be easy, though. Just a four-game snippet here for West Virginia in between open weekends. Starts with Oklahoma State, continues with Iowa State on Saturday, then Kansas State also at home before a trip to Arizona, which the Mountaineers have never done before. It's a heck of a four-game swing right there. That's four of the six teams above West Virginia in the preseason poll. If you're going to make it to the top, you got to climb over some teams, and head-to-head wins, that's a heck of a way to do it, right? But boy, this is really volatile. How volatile is it? Well, I can tell you this. There's five unbeaten teams so far in Big 12 play. Not one of those five was in the preseason top five for the pollsters. So it's been volatile. It's been about as volatile as the remote control in your hand on an exciting Saturday in the fall so far. Kind of can't take your eyes off the TV, can't take your eyes off the field. Something fun, exciting, unpredictable, eventful is happening. And right now, the Mountaineers are in the thick of it. And it's going to continue because, again, you don't really know what's going to happen or how it's going to happen or even when it's going to happen. You really have to watch front to back all four quarters. Got to play every down, guys. Think you know the drill. Difficult, though. All the new opponents, time changes, venues you've never been to or you haven't been to in a couple of years. Those are all factors. And never mind the talent in the field and the lack of a disparity, I think, between 1 through 16, certainly 1 through 8. How do you get through it? What do you need? I know the best need. The best need a podcast about the Mountaineers that covers three topics. One starts with the W, one starts with the V, one starts with the U. Let's get to it. The W today is for the wilderness. You got to get through the wilderness here. And the wilderness right now is in Morgantown because the Big 12 race goes through Milan Puskar Stadium. Maybe not. However, West Virginia, Iowa State, Kansas State, they all have their eyes on a spot in Dallas at the end of the season. They're all going to be in Morgantown these next two Saturdays, playing night games, by the way. How about that? Night games are important for a program, more juice for players and coaches. TV loves it, great for recruiting. I don't have to tell you anything about that. I will tell you that Neil Brown was 12-4 at night games at Troy. Do I want to share the record with you for night games at West Virginia? Like, it's probably not great. It's not. But the numbers they're going to make you mad. All right, you ready? Neil Brown's record, 13-9. I'm sorry. The good news is that'll change one way or the other. The great news is it could be 14. And you don't have to worry about that darn number burned into your brain any longer in that regard. The winner of this Iowa State West Virginia game, what does it get? Well, yeah, it gets an advantage in the Big 12 standings, a head-to-head win. It also gets the night game next week because West Virginia against Kansas State will be a night game on Fox or FS1. Iowa State is the other Fox or FS1 slot. You figure the winner probably going to get the Fox game there because that just seems right, right? However, the night game in Morgantown, black uniforms, this is going to be a feisty crowd. This is a crowd that probably did not think it was going to have this team, this opportunity the last time it saw the Mountaineers on the field. Times change. A lot has happened around the Mountaineers. The Mountaineers have only been responsible for a little bit of it. They've only played one game in the 2 weeks since they last saw their fans at home. They got to keep that moving. They got to find their way through the wilderness here. The V stands for venerated. That is the word I would use to describe Iowa State style. West Virginia's coaches, for the 5 times they played Iowa State before this would be, four. That's right. So 1-4 against Matt Campbell, 5 games. They just seem like they really respect the way these guys do it on offense and defense in a unique style. The defense, well, let me share something with you really quickly here because we almost use the V. But these little cones you see right here, except that's not a V, that's a cone. But if you look at it, this is what they do. They're going to play 1 safety, 2 safety, 3 safeties, and they're going to just kind of keep your guys covered no matter what. They don't really fill the box. It's empty. Look, you got 3 defensive linemen, a linebacker, but guess what? This guy gets involved. This guy gets involved. If this guy's smart because he sees the run, he's going to get involved. They find ways to fill the box. It's tricky. It's not fun. They're very good at what they do. They're very experienced. West Virginia respects the heck out of what John Heacock does on that side of the ball. What about offense? The offense is, well, it's different, but it's at least similar in the fact that it's kind of unique to Iowa State. This is a team that was not running the ball very well despite having some really good running backs. First two games, less than 90 yards per game average. Since then, 237, 240, and 265 rushing. What happened? Well, some of it's the opposition. You played, let me see here. You play Arkansas State, Houston, and Baylor. Well, at least they're FBS teams. They're not great FBS teams. They're not really good run defenses at all. Iowa State got serious about running the ball, using three running backs and also three tight ends at a time. And this team shifts and motions and just changes the picture time after time after time. West Virginia's offense has seen a lot of shifting and motioning. Kansas does that a lot, does that as well as often as anybody. West Virginia did pretty well, but did get scrambled a few times. What helped that day was that was the first time the Mountaineers decided they were going to keep everything in front of them and try to keep stuff very simple for the defensive players. Oklahoma State did some, probably more than the Mountaineers expected because it kind of worked. Not really what they like to do before the snap, but it worked. You're going to see a lot of it with Iowa State. It's going to be two tight ends. It's going to be three tight ends. They can do this because one, they like to run the ball, and two, they just don't have great receivers. Jalen Noel, Jaden Higgins, two receivers, very good. They're trying to find a third receiver. They rolled a bunch of different players into that for a number of snaps in different games, see if something can stick. Right now, a walk-on, former defensive back, got the nod last time. If maybe he could be the third receiver, we'll see. But when you're playing 13 personnel, you're playing with two backs. Sometimes you don't need even a second receiver, never mind a third receiver. They'll find a way to make this work. So the challenges on defense, the challenges on offense, West Virginia is aware and is very respectful of what the Cyclones do there. And finally, the U stands for uh-oh, because we heard about an uh-oh moment here this week when we talked to safety Jaheim Joseph. And he kind of mentioned in the middle of response to another question, nothing about this, that the defensive side of the ball had a meeting following the loss to Pitt. And if you're a coach or a fan or a player on offense, or maybe even a young, impressionable player on defense, you hear about a team meeting, a players only meeting, a defense meeting. Uh-oh, especially if that is in a time where there are questions about coaching and leadership and direction. Uh-oh, do you like the inmates running the asylum, the clowns running the circus, so on and so forth? Doesn't seem like that went badly at all. The team has played a lot better since then. And head coach Neil Brown, defensive coordinator Jordan Leslie, asked about that, said, hey, accountability is really, really important. These guys aren't calling the plays. They're being put in spots that maybe they could play better, or maybe they could be put in better spots, but they don't coach themselves. They don't call the plays themselves. They can handle what they can handle. They handle themselves. Jaheim Joseph said that not a lot of players spoke. It wasn't fiery, or it wasn't antagonistic. It wasn't finger pointing. It was pointing the finger back at yourself. Everybody's saying, hey, got to practice better, got to take better practices to the field, got to play better. Better play leads to better outcomes. And boy, that's happened the past two games. This is going to be a challenge unlike the other ones before it, though, because a very balanced offensive team that is going to have a better defense. West Virginia's offense likely won't be able to keep the defense off the hook like it did on Saturday in Stillwater. You're going to need cooperative football there. You're going to need a unity between the offense and the defense if you want to have a victory on the field and get off to a winning way in a significant home stand.